Hey, welcome back, everybody. Mark from Rams up here. I got Paul Wally on board. He agreed to join me for our pregame pulse, some last minute thoughts on the Eagles Rams Sunday night football. It's going to be electric. It's going to be a lot of fun. But, Paul, first of all, this is a really big week in the NFC West, a lot going on. And let's talk about these other games real quickly. We got the Cardinals up there in Seattle. Cardinals are on a roll. Last point spread I saw, Cardinals by one. And I was talking to my assistant here, my special assistant, who happens to be my son. And his gut feeling is Seattle's going to find a way to win this game. Funny things happen up there. Not that it would be that much of a stretch, not a big upset. Seattle's coming off a big win in San Francisco. How do you feel about this game?
Yeah, I think any game where you go on the road in the NFL is a challenging game. So road games are always unpredictable, especially going up to Seattle, and of course the 12th man that they love to utilize. Great turnout, great crowd support. So the Cardinals, they're a good team. We said that from the beginning. The NFC West is going to be competitive. I think a lot of teams underestimated the NFC West. The teams are, basically even right now when it comes to record. I mean, I think the Cardinals had that one game lead, trying to extend it to two. So we will definitely be rooting for the Seahawks today.
Yeah, and just funny things happen with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
We were talking yesterday, and I said like Kyler Murray's gonna fumble through the end zone for a touchback, or there's going to be a Hail Mary at the end of the half, or just strange things happen. It's just amazing. And I have a feeling the Seahawks are going to pull it out. And that would be, hey, let's just be entertained. How about the entire NFC West locked in at 6-5? It could happen. But, that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, and that second game that we wanted to talk about here, and it's really about the
Yeah.
injury report with the 49ers. Um, Look at all those guys that are out. It's just crazy. And
Yeah.
and if Trent Williams can't go, and Brandon Allen's going to get the start there. And, if the 49ers had a solid offensive line, which they don't, and they could just hand it off to Christian McCaffrey, and try to go old school against the Packers. But that said, with all these injuries, I still think the 49ers have a shot here. It's just one of those games where a team rallies when their backs are against the wall, maybe, and find a way to beat the Packers in Green Bay. How do you feel about this one?
So it's just like the theme for our game, any given Sunday, right? And that's, anytime you go on the road, especially going up to Lambeau, wow, right? That's always a challenge. So, rivalry or no rivalry, you never want to see a team experience this rash of injuries. We went through it, and now the Niners are going through it. You always want to see um, the teams go head to head with their full rosters. But in the NFL, after week one, no one is ever healthy. That's the bottom line. So, but you're right. The Niners have enough talent on that team. McCaffrey, he can explode at any given moment. So they have enough firepower that they could pull this one out. So they're going to have to play it close to the vest, probably, rely on their ground attack a little bit more, play some solid defense. But that's always been their recipe for success. But the Packers look good. The Packers look good, and in Lambeau, that's a tough task, but that's why they play the games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in the low 40s there. And Brandon Allen, I don't know what we can say about him. We've seen so little of him. I mean, he was briefly with the Rams, but I don't know if Kyle Shanahan, if he has to limit his playbook for Brandon Allen. And remember another guy not even on this list is Brandon Ayuk. So they're
Yeah.
they're in bad shape there. But I have a feeling they may pull this out. The point spread has jumped to 5.5, but I still think 49ers have a shot. And
Absolutely.
who?
And any team that you underestimate will always come back and bite you. You have to play each game, as if, it's the last game of the season and it means something. So this game really does mean something. It's still early in the season.
Yeah, we'll be watching that one. And what's kind of nice is, we can just kind of chill and watch the other three teams in the NFC West go at it in the afternoon um, while we're waiting for our big Rams game. Now, I wanted to talk real briefly, kind of big news. And, I've always liked Daniel Jones as a quarterback. He is what he is. I understand he's not a great quarterback, but he's a serviceable NFL quarterback. But I kind of like him a lot more this morning than I did a few days ago. The way he handled himself going out there, everybody's talking about it. A lot of respect for him. And you're there in New York. What's the vibe there with the Giants fans? They're kind of in a tough spot now. I mean, Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock, they have to go get themselves a quarterback next year. What's going on there in New York with regards to the Giants?
Hey, my son is the world's biggest Jet fan, so he's also struggling. But you're right. So Daniel Jones is uh, to say he's heard the boo birds is an understatement, right? It's been a tough ride for him. And I think for the both teams, for the Jets and Giant fans, it's been a rough season. So, but the theme of the NFL is quarterbacks. You have to develop a quarterback if you want to win in this league, and we see it with the Chargers, we see it with the Rams, we see it with some other teams as well, with the Chiefs. That when you have the opportunity to develop a franchise quarterback, and you have a franchise quarterback that's playing well, it's gonna pay huge dividends. And for the Giants, for their future, look, everybody loves DeVito, right? He's a bit, there are a lot of supporters out here, but the future is not very bright from the quarterback scenario for both teams, right? Rodgers is already saying he doesn't want to be back with the Jets in 25. So, but the bottom line is you have to develop a quarterback if you want to win in this league. And the perfect example is Baker Mayfield, coming to the Rams, resurrecting his career. Look at the difference it's made, right? Perfect example. The way the Ravens have developed Lamar Jackson, perfect example. So, what's the solution? I mean, if they're right out the season for now, you're not really starting over, but that has to be a priority for both teams. This is what happens when from the Jets' perspective, when you have to rely on getting your quarterback from outside the organization. Sometimes the investment is just not there. Internally by the player. And then for the Giants, they did give him a vote of confidence, Dan Jones, with the extension. And, it's just a matter of, are all the resources there? Is the internal structure there to develop a quarterback? Quarterback development in this league is a huge issue. And I've said it before. There are a lot of talented quarterbacks in this league, and they just don't get a fair shot because of many different reasons. And sometimes it's because of and this is not anything specific to the Giants. This is just a general statement. I think a lot of times the quarterbacks get blamed, but a lot of times there are very archaic belief systems and designs around the quarterback position for a lot of teams in the NFL. And I think for quarterbacks in general, a lot has to happen. Where you wind up, what was your draft position, because that really dictates the expectations and everything else. So there are a lot of variables, but there are a lot of teams in this league that have very archaic notions about the quarterback position and are not fully equipped to develop it. And then the quarterbacks suffer. So for a lot of teams out there, what they call reclamation projects are really these talented quarterbacks that if you put them in the right situation and you really give them an opportunity to grow, they're going to raise some eyebrows. And I think Daniel Jones has enough talent where I think a team's going to take a chance on him.
Yeah, and I got to defend the Giants here. They've been taking a lot of heat for paying Daniel Jones and not paying Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the running back position, it's sad how little they get paid, how little they end up making in some cases, despite, I mean, they have shorter careers. But, we learned from the Todd Gurley situation. Hindsight's 2020. Yeah, maybe they should have paid Saquon Barkley and not Daniel Jones, but at that time, at that moment, I think it might have been the right decision. But it's hard to say as you're watching Saquon Barkley, doing backflips over defenders on his
Right.
way to the end zone. It's crazy, and we'll see him tonight. So,
And
um,
that and the quarterback situation is very relevant to the Rams. So when the Rams acquired Stafford, obviously it paid huge dividends. But to have a ready-made quarterback ready to go that you can plug and play is such a huge advantage, and you have to take advantage of that window of opportunity. And for the Rams, not just for this season and for next, that window, whether it's 2 years or 3 years, they really have to take advantage of it because as long as you have Stafford back there, you have a legitimate chance at making some noise in the playoffs.
yeah, be interesting to see where Jones ends up, and he could end up somewhere very quickly. I heard that what did I hear? We might not hear anything until he has to clear waivers.
Right.
And no one's going to claim him because of his salary. But then I think it's maybe Thursday he'll be essentially a free agent, and a playoff contender is probably going to snag him, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. I think somebody's going to roll the dice on him. I think there's enough there. I think there's definitely enough there. I think somebody's going to take a chance
Yeah,
on him.
and that's what he wants. He has stated that he wants to go someplace where he can provide some insurance to a playoff contender. And if the Rams didn't have your guy Jimmy G, maybe he'd be in line. He'd be in line there, but.
Look what McVay did for Mayfield's career. You don't think Daniel Jones would kick his heels together if he had a chance to
Oh,
come down here and hold the
yeah,
clipboard?
absolutely. So let's get to our big subject here, the thing we really want to talk about, and this picture here is what we're hoping to see. Rams Eagles, and the let's look at the injury report. Significant that, and I was going to ask you your opinion. Devonta Smith being out, that takes a little bit of pressure off the Rams secondary. We don't want to overstate it, but how do you think that affects the Rams' defensive game plan with him being out?
Oh, yeah. That's a huge loss for the Eagles. It really is. That kid is, he talk about a speed merchant. He talk about stretching the field. So anytime you lose a player of that caliber, it's always a big hit for the team. But the Eagles are still loaded. They are still loaded. I think, one player that I don't think enough people are talking about is their tight end, Goddard. I mean, I love that kid. That kid is a load to bring down. He's physical. He's got solid hands. So, if the Rams are not careful, man, he could have a huge day. AJ Brown, we know about him. They move him all over the field. He's a big physical receiver. So, and of course Saquon Barkley. So there's a lot there. For me, when I look at this game, this is a great game from my opinion. I'm so pumped up about this game because you have the Eagles who are just one of the dominant teams in the NFC. And for the Rams, this is really like their yardstick right now. The same way, and I hate to keep drawing parallels to like the Dodgers and everything else, but it is relevant that the ways, a certain team was like a yardstick for the Dodgers early on in the playoffs, and that sort of carried them and propelled them in terms of their confidence. There are a lot of things that have fallen in place for the Rams. Look at the rest of the NFC West sort of coming back down to earth and not running away with the division. That's huge. The Rams getting healthier towards the latter part of the season as they're preparing for this late season push. So there are a lot of really nice things happening for the Rams. But the Rams now have to get into that mindset of it's about the Rams and the Rams taking care of business. That's the bottom line. The analysis has to go out the window. They have to be able to execute their game plan. Cooper Kupp's back. Puka's back. They have most of their O-line intact, right? So, and they're healthy on defense to some degree, to a large degree, really. You have the improved play of Omar Speights and Boom. You have this D-line and outside linebackers that are just getting after it. There's a lot here. They just have to find a way to get their headspace right. Once they get their headspace, so right now their physical talent is here, and the way they're playing and their gameplay is just far below that. Once they can even that out, this team is going to make a lot of noise. The bottom line is they don't have that many games remaining to really do that. And this is a great way to get yourself right. They played a great game against Minnesota, right? Minnesota's what? I think they're 8-2, right? And one of those losses was against the Rams. So the Rams played a
Yeah, I
great
think they
game
were
on the
they were
road.
in, they were undefeated when they came into LA,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah. I think this game really could be two key players are going to be Roseboom and Spates, right? Because you're dealing with Saquon Barkley in the running game, and you're also dealing with the tight end, and that's the dilemma. I'm not going to get into the defensive X's and O's, but you think about slowing down Barkley, it's going to be those two guys are going to have to play a big role. And then, do the Rams get exposed by the tight end in doing so? So that'll be interesting. And it'll be interesting to see who they assign, if they assign Witherspoon perhaps to shadow AJ Brown. Witherspoon's a little bit bigger, right? Or do they go with D Will? How are they going to deal with that? It's going to be a fun game, but I certainly think I'm in the camp that the Rams stack up reasonably well against the Eagles. The Eagles are clearly the better team. They've proven it. But I don't think you should discount the Rams' chances in this one. And most of the experts that I've seen selection wise are pretty much agree. I think they're seeing this as a competitive game, and I think it will be worth noting that the Rams have pulled up from the practice squad, Jonah Williams and Cam Lampkin for this game. Now we're expecting. I don't have a good feeling about Havenstein playing, so they'll probably keep Noteboom active, but start McClendon. That has to be the choice, right? They're not going to make any changes on that offensive line. So and Neville Gallimore, he looks like he's a full go, so we'll have him back. Someone else will have to sit out, likely maybe Deshaun Johnson. But yeah, I guess that's a big question for the Rams. Is we'll find out. They probably won't find out till 3:30 or so whether Havenstein's going to go, but I suspect not. But we'll find out.
But yeah, I got to say, Coach Burns, man, you did a great job with that analysis because you're spot on. That's the game. The way you summarize it, that's the game. Eagles are going to come out. They're going to want to establish their physicality, and the first thing they're going to want to do to see is, do the Rams respond, and can the Rams respond in that on that level of physicality? This game is going to come down to two things: who establishes their ground game, right? And turnovers. The teams that is able to establish their ground game and has the fewest turnovers is going to win this game. It's going to be that simple. Somebody's going to make a big mistake in this game, and it's going to swing the momentum, or it's going to lead to a last second score or field goal, whatever it may be. But it's going to be a hard fought game. But this game is about physicality. It's going to be a great game if you're a hardcore football fan. I hope it turns into a smash mouth game. And the Rams just have to play clean. They got to play within themselves. They have to find their find their mojo again. And Stafford's gonna lead this squad. I have a feeling.
Yeah, and when another thing in the Rams' favor, in this game especially, Bobby Brown, his play has improved. Kobe Turner, I saw a stat on him that he has like 5 tackles in so many straight games. Mm-hmm. And Omar Spates and Jared Verse not missing tackles, wrapping up. So a lot of things pointing up for the Rams. So we can only hope they find a way to win. And this is not a must-win game. But if you can find a way to win this game, man, that elevates the Rams' playoff chances in a big way. So let's hope that happens. And then after that, on to New Orleans Thanksgiving weekend. Hey, Paul, good stuff. Thanks for joining. Any final words? So what was your prediction? You had it
24-21 Cardi, last second field goal.
And I had it 24-23 Rams. Okay, we'll stick with that.
And shout out to Doc Roberts. UCLA honored him before the game. Well deserved. Did a great job this year. in the playoffs, and it was great to see. It was great to see. So Dodger and UCLA pride.
Yeah, that's right. You guys get those USC UCLA games start at like what time do they end out there? Like
It's
after
pretty late.
midnight? Yeah,
Yeah,
geez. Yeah.
but
Okay, Paul.
it's
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's if you're staying up late and you're a football fan, you can always count on at least one West Coast game, I suppose. Okay, Paul, thanks a lot for joining on a Sunday morning. Really appreciate it. We'll see if we can hook up after the game for a post game reaction. See how late it goes. See how late you stay up. I'll talk to you more about that.
all
Okay,
right.
guys.
I'll do it for the Ramley this week. Rapid reactions after the game.
Okay. All right, man. Thanks a lot. Out here from Rams Up.